Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is a report of Operation Promise for Roaring Fury in the USA-Iran War 2026. It is a part of World War III. To understand World War III, you would have to understand how the world works geographically and economically. And to understand that, you have to know that this here is the Earth, and half of our world is ocean. And that means if half of the world is entirely the ocean, the other half of the world is all of the land. And therefore, because distance and the bigness of the world is has so much power over man's life, many men in history traveled into this ocean and never came home. And many men 500 years ago traveled this smaller ocean and they never came home. Many men have wandered across small parts of land and they died on the journey. They never made it home or to their destination. So the travel is an essential part of the trade of the world. You will notice that a country his size depends on the size of his biggest city, and a city that accumulated a lot of people and things became powerful, and they are only located at a large basin freshwater river because the river is essential to support life. So this happened 2,000 years, actually starting 4,000 years ago, that there was 5,000 men. That was as many as that lived in the biggest city in the world, and that they were at the major rivers. Those big cities of the world were all at the major rivers, and then as time goes on, they accumulate more, they become larger, and they can wield more power. So because of the ability of China to produce so much growth of life, they always had a more abundance than all of the other countries, and especially that these countries here, they're all golden colored because beneath the earth, the magma is closer to the surface, and therefore this surface area always remains hot, and for that reason it cannot support growth of life. So especially for that reason, then there became a living relationship of trade, and the Chinese began to export westward. It was the only way to connect to the world. And they're especially isolated due to this elevation because of how high it is up. The Chinese would have to climb up to the sky and travel across an immense landscape of barren sand in order to reach the rest of the world. So this water route is everything of life for China and for everyone else who would like to get all of those riches and bounties that they are producing. And because there's so much manpower, they can always produce more unless you bring in the competition of machines, which 100 years ago, a plan was devised by the empires. The old empire devised a plan using all of their kings, where they made a decision that they were going to steal all of the property out of the hands of the Chinese people, and they were going to kill as many Chinese people as they could, and especially those who resisted. And 3 million Chinese people did resist and were killed at the end of a sword for trying to have freedom. And then all of the kings of the world sent all of their investments to China in order to build skyscrapers, because a skyscraper cannot exist until 100 years ago. We did not have steel, and therefore we could not raise any structure into the sky. And because of this, every single skyscraper and megacity that you see in all of the world, it was made in 100 years' time. For China to sell or trade eastward across the world, he would travel very far, and he can only find California, which is, his largest city is half the size of the largest city on the east coast of the continent, and very far away. It's not a strong economic base. There is the steppes of Mexico. There is one water channel to all of the world, and that's the Panama Canal. And there is the mountains of Chile. Then there is the Antarctica Ocean. So for that reason, China would never become powerful going eastward, and everything of life is traveling westward. India as well, all traveling, and all of these nations here. There's one way to get through from the east to the west, and that is the Suez Canal. And the Suez Canal never existed 100 years ago. The Suez Canal was built 100 years ago to allow that water travel, and that is essential purpose, because 100 years ago there was no ability to get big, massive cargo ships across the world, because you can't row him and the wind can't blow him. So all of the ships were small until the engine came, when man uncovered propulsion, and he exchanged the water power of the mills and the water as a propellant. He converted to gas, and using gas, with the gas combustion, so much power was able to be gotten from the gas as a fuel that they were able to blast up into the air, into the sky, and fly away. And they were able to take just cities onto the water and to move it across the water, which something could never ever be done 100 years ago, because you could not power the movement of the ship. And then this becomes critical, and that is part of the situation which we have now going on here, which is in the Persian Gulf here. Then the last essential key is that in order to have economic growth, not only did you need to have water, but you needed to have the natural resources of the earth that you could produce things, and then by this trading power, you would have your place. And you can't grow anything here. They don't produce anything here that can compete with anyone else. And therefore, until gasoline came, these people did not have the power of growing their economy by sharing with the world, because nobody would give them anything for free. Unfortunately, mankind is evil, and he doesn't believe in the beautification of the world. He believes in pleasuring himself, and through it, he degenerates his body so that he doesn't know up, down, north, south, east, and west anymore. So these places, because they don't have the natural resources until gasoline, and as the gasoline arrived, there is this big world competition, and they go and they get these people who inhabit this area to agree with a plan or die, and he'll put someone else there instead, because this is the way, is that they're going to export all of this gas, and this gas is how they're going to ride through. So they don't have all of these things of life that are needed. They have nothing. They have gas and sand. And so they will leverage this gas. And because of the structure of power and the corruption of men, they never put it back in the city. They never made their city beautiful or furnished it with the beautiful things. They just, all of this bounty and money went straight out of the country, right out of the pockets. This is something that's actually very common at this era of humankind's development, of mankind's development, where we just got an engine after nothingness. That these mines in Africa, all of Africa is a gold mine, and other countries come to Africa. They pay a king to have a business there, and then the king and the foreigner, they just mine it. Everyone is your slave. These Africans are slaves. They're going to mine this out and take, and that all of that gold that his hands brought from working those machines is going to never touch his household, never grace his family, or have anything to do with human life. It's going to be sent shipped right out. And now they're using billions of dollars just to not even bother with vectoring the cash flow. Just buy some bombs, and that'll handle the whole situation. See how they went straight from A to B, instead of, it's not a roundabout evil anymore. So this is the structure of the economy that we have right now, and we are talking about the last 10 days of our existence here on planet Earth, and that is the day 11 through 20 of the Operation Promise for Roaring Fury, which is World War III. This is the plan for Gaza reconstruction. So in Gaza, there is a Holocaust by bombs, and all of it was a working together of a number of countries for this trade deal, and they are putting it into action here. The trade route would go from Mongolia and all of these Asian countries, Kakistan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, and also, well, obviously from Pakistan. And they'll all go to Gaza, and there will be from South America, in the lower part of South America, all of that rich, untouched land of minerals and natural resources. They'll come up this way, and it'll be set into this new smart city of Gaza. And the purpose of it, obviously, is that that's the gateway of world commerce. This is the crossroads of empires. this is the center of the world economy. And so now that they have developed their technologies, that they're evolving this trade route here. My beloved Gaza, we are in the last days of Ramadan 2026. It is day 15 of Operation Promise for Roaring Fury. And since we last compiled an update of the news, day 11, there were several more tents and homes struck in Gaza, which indicated that the phone told Israel where to find and assassinate any particular person. The Israeli converted our home city into a death camp. A total blockade of food, intentionally using hunger to seek our death. We know this because there's not enough food coming in. It's a starvation diet calculated by the number of food trucks times the people who live here. There are many newborn babies beneath the siege of food. And whereas a Western woman will see the baby in the war zone and say, how could you have a baby in the middle of the hell of war? That's unfair. That they don't see that this baby is the best mercy that the Palestinian heart could give, that the Palestinian was seeking to save his soul and save his heart through the mercy of having a baby. And there are other reasons that the people, don't regard the baby's life in their choices, that people think that they are the center of existence and that they don't need to regard the new life into the world. They don't need to regard other life into the world, that there are perversions such as the moment that there are children between a man and a woman, and the man tries to emotionally, or like in his personality and character, he does not try to integrate into his family life. Like if the man doesn't really want to be a part of his family life, and that he spends more time with other men and more time with other things than being in the home, then the baby's lives don't stop. The babies are still sucking nipples, sexually stimulating the woman, and the babies are still came out from the vagina, and everything about baby, the children is a stimulation of the sexuality. And as soon as the man exits and leaves the woman there, you have she's getting sexually stimulated by her children. That's pedophilia. And then the babies become homosexual as soon as they are preyed upon by a parent. Every homosexual was preyed upon by their parent. That's how it works, and they don't want that to be a revelation. So these other corruptions of the bringing a baby into a hostile war zone as some kind of combat device, like that you are going to, like the baby is now going to become the weapon. And as a result, many children wish for death, and many young people want to die rather than exist in this world, because they have been overwhelmed by all of the unpleasant feelings and the negativity, instead of getting to feel the pleasure and the fact that they don't get to feel the good of life. As soon as you take away that right to feel good in life, then they don't want to live anymore. And so that is another big trap of evil. So the people were seeking to save their souls in a Holocaust by using the life of the baby, because the baby was going to gravitate mercy. It was going to radiate mercy and try to inject mercy back where the soul couldn't be held onto any longer. So the baby created a protective energy to guard the souls of men against the hatred and the wounds, and to stop the collapsing of the pain system onto the pleasure system, and thus creating a death drive in the soul. The Quran in Surah Barakah says, "Till as you will," which means that if you want to farm, you put the seed where and when you want it with the intention of love in your heart, but you certainly don't scatter seeds in the wrong seasons when you know that the seed can't survive. And farmers put certain seeds in certain places and certain times of the year depending on how they will grow. And you know, the Hadith are not equal to Quran. Quran talked a handful of times about conception and the ejaculation of men. So we have purposely chosen to bring life into the world now, and it is a striving for the soul of mankind, striving full of determination. We are, as those people who lived before us, all of mankind's existence before the rise of skyscrapers. We have dirt roads like the men of 1940. We have humble shelters like every man in 1940. We struggle for food sometimes like every person, even in the Common Era. And the newborns are to save our soul in Gaza, that they would grow and spread their effort further, and they would furthermore help to save the souls of men as much as they needed to be saved, for however long is needed for saving in proportion to the pain of the siege of war inflicted by Holocaust. But certainly they were not birthed to be murdered. It is the economic situation that the lifestyle we get is a part of the interconnection that the governments achieve through trading among each other. Our economy is blockaded. The strongest purchasing power is in the euro and the dollar. They have a disproportionate buying ability, and they are taking privileges that China doesn't get, while buying absolutely everything manufactured in China, and the Chinese people do not get to buy their own things that their own hands made, and their houses would never look like ours. The dictator is eating his own people, and they helped. China, China, China. Why China? The biggest cities in the world are in China. The biggest rivers in the world are there. The biggest productive economic power. They're pouring it into our lives from across the world. They are the biggest by far, many times bigger, saving our souls along with everyone else's soul while we are on starvation diets. The economy must be understood for its power over human life. When it is exploited, it's a betrayal of humanity. If you don't have physical power to apply to the situation, you must outsmart it. And now at day 15, we can see clearly the timeline of Operation Promise for Roaring Fury set into motion, no longer a war exercise, but fully acted out in combat with its true consequences. Assassinations of leaders and destructions of military bases for weapons caches. USA and Israel jointly carrying out bombing campaigns in Tehran, with Israel focusing on the assassinations and locating of figures, whereas the United States is employing its larger powers for infrastructural degradation and weapons caches. That's in Tehran and Isfahan and other large cities. Tehran has 15 million metropolis besides a mountain range with 10,000 foot peaks. Evidently, this satellite missile storage is beneath the mountain range, and it could not be destroyed through an air campaign. Meanwhile, the satellite missiles prove they are unstoppable because there's no intercept solution from Earth for that velocity projectile. Iran is repeating strikes on the main bases of USA military around the Persian Gulf, has moved the Iranian army towards the Persian Gulf to defend against the massing USA forces there. The Persian Gulf is the only practical direction for an army to approach Iran. The timeline and events of the day 11 through 14 yesterday were proving to the extent of capability between the two armies and the purposes of their movements. Day 11, 2 satellite missile clusters struck Haifa port in Israel. Any single atomic bomb would have a compounded effect. The two big cities of Israel are sister cities. Tel Aviv and Jerusalem are the stronghold of the Israeli people. Haifa is a supply port. Mass destruction of any one of these small cities, which each live 500,000 people, would cause chaos and disruption, and it's a small country of Israel. There are reports Netanyahu was killed in a strike, and the satellite missile strikes which killed his other ministers on day 8, the night Ben Gurion Airport was struck. New videos appear of Netanyahu, none of which refer to current events, and the loss of confidence from Israeli media indicated that he may have died. Then on a day 11, reports of 2,000 Iranian soldiers killed, 1,500 people killed altogether in Iran. It's not an accurate mathematical equation, and likely 3,000 are killed in Iran day 11 after video records of the burning oil depot in Tehran. USA president said he will do ever-increasing size bombs and hit 20 times harder. Iran's military moved to place mines in the Strait of Hormuz to prevent a surge from USA onto the long shore of Iran. USA air campaign is full throttle hunt, kill, assassination missions alongside the destruction of the caches and facilities of satellite missiles. Using 2,000-pound bombs, the bomber fleet, which was used and known in Gaza to have a maximum of effectiveness of 1,000 strikes daily for bursts of only a couple weeks. The daily airstrikes on Lebanon are simultaneous to the mission in Iran. Day 11 reports of 70 Hezbollah launchers struck by aircraft. After seeing day 4 in Lebanon with 400 reported killed in 24 hours, we were reporting day 11 of 600 killed to date. Meanwhile, 50 straight airstrikes occur daily. After the funeral for the head of the auxiliary police of the Iranian army, day 11, we see the first refueling aircraft down in Iran, day 11. There are many, many refueling aircraft in the sky of Iran because bomber jet tanks only hold enough gas for 1,000-kilometer flight. That's only enough to get there. They can't get back without gas. After reporting 8,000 Israeli munitions dropped in Iran on day 10, there is reported on day 12 that 15,000 targets are struck by USA in Iran. Each target is struck with multiple munitions because there are military leaders struck and caches and infrastructure struck. So with the Israeli proportion of munitions on day 10 and the USA proportion of targets struck on day 12, assuming 4 bombs for each target at minimum, we could correlate the Israelis' report of 300 strikes daily and average they admitted. Thus, the maximum effort of the USA is 8 times bigger than Israel. USA used 4,000 munitions daily for 12 days, striking 15,000 targets. 1,000 targets daily struck with multiple munitions. Multiple aircraft involved for each location. While Israel used at most 500 munitions daily in Iran, simultaneously with 100 munitions daily in Lebanon. Day 12, Qatar claims to intercept satellite missiles from Iran. Day 13, Iran strikes Beersheba, Israel. Israel strikes the nuclear reactor Iraq inside Iran. Another refueling tanker is shot down, this time over Iraq, killing 6 soldiers. Day 14, satellite missiles strike Tel Aviv. Big fires in Tel Aviv, fire on the USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier in the Red Sea. Iran strikes Udeid military base in Qatar, Sultan Air Base, Saudi Arabia, destroying 5 refueling tankers belonging to the USA, satellite missile clusters in Tel Aviv. Today is day 15, and this was written days ago. It's only the beginning. In the first hours of the morning, USA strikes Karg Island in Iran, the Persian Gulf, with the most powerful bombing campaign in the history of the Middle East. The location is very near the entrance of the Persian Gulf, 1,000 miles from Tehran. Karg Island is the main export terminal for oil in Iran. 90% of Iran's oil pipelines originate at Karg Island. The Caspian Sea is much nearer to Iran, and it has offshore gas drills. However, the pipeline infrastructure of Iran and its petroleum backbone depend on Karg Island and all of the gas from the Persian Gulf. It all comes from the south. Iran's population since today, day 15, have no gas for their industries and vehicles. The traffic will be decreased. The economy is paused. People need money to buy food every day. The power grid depends on petroleum to generate electricity. Food must be brought in. All of Iran's population since today, day 15, have no gas, for their industries and vehicles. The traffic will be decreased. The economy is paused. And we pray for the goodness to come and for our efforts to align with our hearts in the way of humanity. Many Israeli leaders have been annihilated within days after plaguing our souls for so long. Now they have vanished, and praise be to God that those evils have left. Israel and USA have turned all of their power towards Iran and now face extermination by atomic bombs, which they have talked about for very much in the past 1 week as ever. And if any of that happens, the population would be displaced from the area, and it would be unsafe to return there to the ground. We don't know the extent of the capability. Gaza suffered more than anyone, and they didn't die. Like 1,000 died every day in Ukraine war. And thankfully, we have a little respite here in Gaza. We have many lovely people. We have lost many lovely people, the finest people. So God, let us master the art of getting food and letting our families survive hell. Amen. And continuing, my beloved Gaza, today is day 18 of Operation Promise for Roaring Fury on the 17th of March 2026. Since the past day update early on day 15, we continue to suffer a starvation diet and death rations. The population, we are still 2 million people in a Holocaust landscape under siege, a starvation diet. We are concentrated in a camp we cannot escape. The food supply is cut. 500 calories a day. It's 2 plates of pasta with tomato sauce and beans. In Auschwitz, it was 1 slice of bread and hot water with potato or beet peels. And after 6 months, an average party is starved. Often people do not eat daily because they cannot afford to obtain food. The food supply of Gaza has been divided into death rations, and without a ration, people starve to death. With Ramadan ending 2 days from now, many ritualized the fasting contrary to the Quranic guidance, and Ramadan exhausted them because it was closer to their heart to appear on the outside that they are a ritual Ramadan than it was to surrender their heart to the Quran with devotion. And they fasted, therefore they became overwhelmed, and they could not strive for food in the daytime hours, which was vital time when it's a starvation siege. These Gaza rations for food, they're based on the blockade of the food supply, and they're made for dealing death. Each ration holds the meaning of survival because it's calculated to kill through hunger. Food is the most important struggle of Gaza before his cell phone. On day 15, daylight was overcast by an orange sandstorm all across Gaza. Gaza was muted. Broadcasters assessed the battlefield and made new admissions for hours following the early morning invasion of Kharg Island. And on day 15, Kharg Island is not only the origin of Iran's oil backbone, it is additionally Adolf Hitler's Sicily. Once the USA established a rear base on the island and effectively protect it, they would be able to sustain an insurgents for control over the shoreline of Iran, as it were in World War II. And without an island, the beach looks like Normandy. With the island, the invading army could destroy the defenses around the mainland and maintain constant reinforcement, amassing troops there until they have amassed so much that they will overwhelm it successfully on the shores, causing the enemy retreat. A brigade of Marines dispatches on the USS Tripoli and estimated to arrive within 2 weeks' voyage. Admissions are made that several USA tankers were struck in Basra, Iraq this week, and details emerge of the destruction of 6 Iran warships docked in Oman on day 4. There are widespread electrical blackouts in Tehran. Details emerge from day 13 of the strike on Beersheba, Israel. Beneath the hospital is the Microsoft Artificial Intelligence Warfare Command Center, and it was struck by satellite missile. Day 15, Iran strikes Tel Aviv train station. Iran strikes the thermal power plant and the oil refinery at Tel Aviv. Israel with drones, and the facility is set into long burning fires. Israel strikes South Lebanon at homes with families inside them. And overnight, Israel strikes kill 12 medics in South Lebanon. End of day 15, Hezbollah captures Zionist Israeli soldiers who crossed into Lebanon. Broadcasters assess the warfighting capacity of the Arab states. United Arab Emirates was struck with hundreds of missiles and drones. And He was able to intercept 6 drones and 4 satellite missiles to date. Day 15 observed in the last 24 hours of time drones striking Qatar, 8 drones striking in Bahrain, 14 drones striking in Kuwait, 15 drones striking in Saudi Arabia. USA and Israel strike Tehran in waves, departing every hour to Iran to strike command bunkers in Iran, killing military officials. In the nighttime of day 15, the Israeli General Tishler is killed by satellite missiles, and other strikes kill other military officials. Skyscraper in Tel Aviv falls over sideways from a satellite missile strike. Israeli army tanks are struck by Hezbollah rockets in Lebanon. Day 16, Iran announces a wave of strikes in memory of Gaza's leaders, Abu Ubaidah and Yahya Sinwar. Iran strikes Dimona nuclear power plant in Israel, the thermal nuclear power. Destroying it after previous strikes had disabled it. Iran strikes Lahav 433 Israeli police and strikes Gilat Satellite Center in Israel. Iran strikes the finance district of Tel Aviv, and he gives 24 hours evacuation notice to Tel Aviv, warning that the city will become uninhabitable and safe. Iran announces that the satellite images show 4 strategic radars of USA in the Persian Gulf are destroyed. Day 16, Israel. Big fires throughout the early hours of the morning from satellite missiles. In Gaza, a wall collapses on more than 30 people, killing them and trapping bodies beneath the concrete. Israel strikes 6 policemen at El Burj, Gaza, in a vehicle outside a gated parking lot. And strikes continue for days on assassinating leaders in Hamas inside Gaza. Iran strikes Bandar Abbas, Bandar Seraf, Dubai Airport Fuel Depot. USA strikes on command bunkers in Iran, killing Commander Mohammad Karami, Mohammad Sarlak, Ghulam Raza, Mohammad Zada, Mohsen Rizeh. Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei is on life support or in a coma since day 12. Day 17th, it's the 16th of March, and there are several USA ships on fire in the Persian Gulf. The first hours of the morning, a jet was shot down over Mehrabad Airport in Iran. Fires occur in Iraq. British headquarters at the Manju oil field are struck. 4 USA fighter jets are hacked, and they pancake out of the sky from Baghdad. A hotel in Baghdad is struck. Iran drone strikes Abu Dhabi, Doha, Dubai, USA Space Command base in Qatar. Iran warns Dubai should completely evacuate. Afternoon, day 17, Iran strikes Jerusalem. Evening strikes with satellite missiles across Israel. Day 17, Pakistan strikes Kabul, Afghanistan. USA, Israel strike Tehran, Shiraz, Tabriz, Tehran Space Command and Navy Command. USA have destroyed 100 Iranian ships to date, 50 ships per week destroyed. Day 18, Israeli Chief of Staff publicizes his helicopter flight to the border. General Eyal Zamir is struck and killed in a meeting in a bunker of Israeli combat commanders at the Lebanese border. Day 18, in the first hours of the morning, Israelis strike simultaneously on Beirut, Lebanon, and in Tehran. Strikes kill an Iranian general, Ibrahim Morzavi Nasab. Day 18, Iran satellite missiles strike in Israel, killing military officials Naftali Bennett, Gadi Eisenkot. Iran gives a warning that the coming hours are critical and the world will know why. And we're rolling into the first minutes of Gaza, day 19 in Gaza time. China amasses ships to encircle Taiwan, an island nation off of the shore of Hong Kong. Hong Kong is one of the 4 cities on the mainland river delta which compose the biggest metropolis on the planet of 50 million people. All Western imports are manufactured there. USA moves to break the naval blockade at the Strait of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf and to obliterate the shores of Iran to get their uranium. Actively implementing loitering drones to strike satellite missile infrastructure and wait for soldiers to flee the base before they strike again with the loitering drone. The last hours of day 17, Israeli strikes Ali Larijani in Tehran with his companions and strikes Golem Soleimani. In the first hours of day 18, strikes in Iran are reported to kill 300 commanders who were specifically targeted in the campaign. Day 18, Israel strikes commander of Hamas's North Brigade, Yunus Alian. And the last hour of the day, USA strikes Iran at oil at multiple locations, the Estiola oil refinery and South Pars refinery. The first hour of day 19, Iran strikes back in a codename Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Through the first hours of day 19, USA strikes Iran commander of the Basij, Qasem Qureshi, strikes on the minister Ismail Khatib in Tehran, Parliament Speaker Bagher Ghalibaf in Tehran. Iran strikes back at Haifa gas refineries, Ben Gurion Airport, Tel Aviv Railway. Iran strikes Minister Katz, Commander Aluf Nadav Lotan. In the last hours of day 19, Iran strikes the Aramco oil field in Rida. Saudi Arabia claims to have intercepted 4 satellite missiles. A satellite missile travels 1,000 kilometers in 10 minutes. A satellite missile goes straight into space orbit with 4 minutes. If another missile wants to intercept a satellite missile, it must launch 4 minutes before it will reach that interception point in space. And once a satellite missile comes down from orbit, it's unstoppable. It will reach the ground in 60 seconds. And the satellite missile from Iran, it must be immediately detected, and the interceptor must be immediately launched so that they both meet in outer space at the same time. Once Iran's missile begins to descend, it cannot be chased by another opposing the planetary gravitational force at less speed. Iran strikes Qatar gas field Ras Laffan. Qatar claims 7 satellite missile interceptions. The gas fields are partially disabled in the strike. Day 19, United Arab Emirates claim 13 satellite missile and 27 drone intercepted. Bahrain claims 1 missile and 10 drone intercepted. And day 20 is today, which was yesterday before this recording. It is all throughout the day. The fires were raging on the gas fields across Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and in Iran. And the South Pars and Salaya oil refineries burned. In the last hour of the day, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu reappears back from the dead in a live press conference. God protect the humanity and people, and God lighten our hearts and give us the ability to let love and humanity overpower the evil that is being set and all of the corruption that's being set on the world. Amen.